Your brain is currently drowning in its own metabolic filth. This isn't a metaphor. It is a biological reality happening inside your skull right now. You aren't just tired, you are running on corrupted hardware. Every hour you stay awake, your neurons produce toxic proteins, amyloid-beta and tau. These are the waste products of consciousness, the trash files. And right now, if you are watching this past 11 p.m., that trash is accumulating. It is clogging the synaptic gaps. It is throttling your processing speed. You are experiencing a cognitive latency that you have normalized. You think this fog is just how life feels. It isn't. It is a warning sign, a system alert. Your operating system is trying to force a reboot, and you are clicking Remind me later. But here is the hard truth the modern world hides from you. There is no cloud backup for your prefrontal cortex. When these sectors corrupt, they do not recover. We are looking at the mechanism of your decline. Let's look at the damage. Do not take my word for it. Look at the telemetry. A 2026 randomized crossover study. Human participants. Total sleep deprivation versus normal sleep. The results were not subtle. They monitored the bloodstream for specific biomarkers, A-beta-42 and phosphorylated tau. Under normal conditions, deep non-REM sleep acts as a pressure valve, flushing these toxins out of the brain and into the plasma. Clearance up, toxicity down. But when sleep was blocked, the system inverted. The brain stopped clearing the waste and started accumulating it. The production of aggregation-prone species skyrocketed. This is a disk-write error on a massive scale. The study confirmed that sleep deprivation shifts your neurobiology from a state of maintenance to a state of toxicity. You are not just missing rest, you are physically trapping poison inside the blood-brain barrier. This is the mechanism of the glitch, and you are triggering it voluntarily. We are going to dismantle the deception. I am going to show you the schematics of the glymphatic system, the lie of catch-up sleep, and the malware known as Revenge Bedtime Procrastination. Most of you will turn this off because the data is uncomfortable. Good. This intel is for the architects, not the users. If you want to survive the crash, you need the patch. Subscribe to the channel. Install the update. Let's tear the system apart. Let's define the machinery. You have a waste management infrastructure called the Glymphatic System. Think of it as a pseudo-lymphatic network, a series of pipes and valves riding alongside your blood vessels. Its job is simple: hydraulic scrubbing. It uses cerebrospinal fluid, CSF, to wash through your brain tissue. It hunts down metabolic waste, amyloid-beta, tau, alpha-synuclein, the proteins that clump together to form the plaques found in Alzheimer's patients. But here is the crash point. This system is offline when you are awake. The clearance efficiency drops by 90% the moment your eyes open. 90%. Being awake is essentially a dirty state. You cannot clean the disk while you are writing files to it. You have to shut down the interface to run the scrub. If you cut your sleep window, you are not just tired. You are leaving 90% of the day's toxic residue rotting in your neural lattice. The physics of this process are violent. During deep NREM sleep, specifically stages N2 and N3, the interstitial space between your brain cells expands by 60%. Your neurons physically shrink to make room for the fluid. Resistance drops, the floodgates open. CSF rushes in, mixes with interstitial fluid, and flushes the waste out to the venous system. It is a high-pressure rinse cycle. But it requires low noradrenergic tone. It requires high delta wave power. You cannot hack this with a nap. You cannot fake it with meditation. If you do not enter deep, consolidated NREM sleep, the space does not expand. The fluid does not flow. The waste stays put. A 2021 study showed that even fragmentation, waking up briefly, disrupts this convective flow. The pump stops. You wake up with a dirty cache. Over days, this is fog. Over decades, this is pathology. Society tells you sleep is flexible, that you can move the blocks around. I'll sleep when I'm dead. I'll catch up on the flight. This is the exploit. Your biology has a hard-coded limitation, the circadian gating mechanism. The glymphatic flush is synchronized with your circadian rhythm. It is designed to run at night, aligned with drops in core body temperature and cortisol. You do not have multiple cleanup slots, you have one nightly window. If you push your bedtime back by 2 hours to finish a project, you didn't just shift the window, you shortened it. You cut the cleaning cycle short. The janitors went home. The study data confirms that short naps and fragmented day sleep provide some restoration, but fail to trigger deep glymphatic clearance. You are trading a full system format for a quick refresh. The junk files remain. Stop treating sleep like a bank account. It is an assembly line. If the line stops, the product is ruined. The patch is absolute consistency. You must maximize the NREM window. This means targeting the first half of the night where slow wave sleep is densest. You need to be unconscious before the circadian dip hits its trough. No alcohol. Alcohol is a sedative, not a sleep aid. It destroys NREM architecture. It fragments the wave patterns necessary for the glymphatic flush. You might be unconscious, but the cleaning crew is locked out. The protocol is simple. 7 to 9 hours, same start time, 0 ethanol. Anything less is self-sabotage. You think you can handle the debt. You think a double espresso fixes the glitch. Let's look at the latency. A large sleep restriction study found that restricting healthy adults to 6 hours for 14 nights resulted in cognitive deficits equivalent to 2 full nights of total sleep deprivation. Read that again. 2 weeks of getting by on 6 hours makes you legally drunk in terms of reaction time and vigilance. But here is the terrifying part. The subjects didn't feel it. Their subjective ratings of sleepiness plateaued. They thought they had adapted. They hadn't. Their performance continued to degrade, but their ability to perceive their own failure vanished. This is the stealth crash. You are failing and you don't even know it. This is where the math kills you. Sleep debt is not linear, it is compounding. A controlled protocol limited participants to 4 hours a night for 5 nights. Then, they gave them a recovery night, 10 hours in bed. Did they bounce back? No. Performance improved, but it did not return to baseline. Deficits lingered. The neural circuits were still misfiring. A 6-week confinement study showed that even with weekend recovery sleep, attention and accuracy declined progressively over the weeks. The weekend warrior sleep strategy is a myth. It is a lie you tell yourself to justify the abuse. You cannot erase 5 days of damage with 2 days of repair. The structural impact on the brain, the synaptic load, takes days, sometimes weeks, to normalize. Why doesn't the weekend work? Because the glymphatic system has a rate limit. It has a maximum throughput. You cannot cram clearance. If you miss 10 hours of cleaning over the week, you cannot force the brain to clean at double speed on Saturday. It doesn't work that way. The biology is constrained by fluid dynamics and cycle times. When you binge sleep on the weekend, you are merely paying off the interest on the loan. The principle remains. Chronic restriction shrinks the total NREM window available per 24 hours. You are permanently operating in a deficit. The 2022 review on recovery dynamics confirmed this. Multiple nights of extended sleep are required to reverse the effects. Not one, not two, multiple. You are living in a permanent state of lag. And how do you cope? You override the senses. Caffeine. Adenosine creates sleep pressure. It's the signal that the system needs a flush. Caffeine blocks the adenosine receptors. It silences the warning alarm. It doesn't remove the fatigue, it hides it. It masks the accumulation of waste products. You are driving a car with the check engine light taped over, pushing the RPMs into the red. You feel alert because you have flooded the system with artificial stimulation, but the underlying hardware is degrading. The waste is still there. The processing errors are still happening. You just can't feel the pain anymore. This is how the system keeps you working while you rot. If you are in debt, you need a payment plan. There is no bankruptcy filing for the brain. The only way out is a sustained surplus. If you have been short sleeping for months, you need weeks of 8 to 9 hours. Not a weekend, a lifestyle correction. You need to sleep until you wake up naturally without an alarm. That is the only calibration tool you have. If you need an alarm to wake up, you are not done sleeping. The cycle was interrupted. The patch requires you to prioritize the repayment of this debt above all other non-survival tasks. Cancel the morning workout if you have to. The workout damages the body, sleep builds it. Prioritize the rebuild. So, why don't you sleep? You know this. You feel the lag. Yet, at 11:30 p.m., you are scrolling. You are watching short-form content. You are engaging in revenge bedtime procrastination. This is not a habit. This is a malware infection. It is a psychological exploit. You feel a lack of control over your daytime life, your job, your obligations, so you steal back time at night. You trade your biological recovery for a sense of autonomy. But it is a fraudulent trade. You are trading diamonds for broken glass. The apps you use are weaponized. They are designed by thousands of engineers to keep you engaged, to keep your cortisol high, to keep your dopamine looping. They are harvesting your sleep time and converting it into ad revenue. The cost of this rebellion is total system destabilization. Revenge bedtime procrastination correlates directly with daytime sleepiness, slower cognition, and emotional volatility. It creates a vicious feedback loop. You stay up late to regain control. You wake up exhausted and cognitively impaired. Your self-regulation fails. You have a stressful, unproductive day. You feel even less control. You stay up late again. It is a death spiral. The stress response keeps you hyper-aroused. Cortisol spikes. Your heart rate variability tanks. You are technically in fight or flight mode while lying in bed looking at memes. This prevents the onset of the deep NREM stages needed for the glymphatic flush. You are physically in bed, but biologically you are on the battlefield. The mechanism here is ego depletion. By the end of the day, your prefrontal cortex, the CEO of your brain, is exhausted. Its ability to inhibit impulses is gone. You are operating on the amygdala, the lizard brain. The lizard wants immediate reward. It wants the blue light. It wants the novelty. It does not care about tomorrow's amyloid clearance. The glitch is that your decision-making hardware is offline exactly when you need it most. You are asking a tired brain to make the decision to go to sleep, but the tired brain is incapable of making that decision. It defaults to the path of least resistance, the scroll. This is not a failure of willpower, it is a failure of energy management. You cannot win this fight with willpower, you must use an air gap. Physical separation. The phone cannot be in the bedroom. If the device is within arm's reach, you will lose. The algorithm is stronger than your exhausted prefrontal cortex. Charge it in the kitchen. Buy a $10 alarm clock. Create a friction barrier. If you have to physically get out of bed and walk to another room to doom scroll, you will likely choose sleep. Break the circuit. Set a hard shut-off time for the router if you have to. You need to treat the evening as a decontamination zone. Low light, low info. Prepare the vessel for the system update. If you do not disconnect, you are voluntarily installing the malware every single night. Let's zoom out to the endgame. What happens when you run a system without maintenance for 40 years? The blue screen of death. Alzheimer's disease. Dementia. We used to think these were random genetic strikes. We now know they are largely failures of clearance. A 2021 neurology paper found that short sleep duration in older adults was associated with higher brain amyloid-beta burden. The correlation is terrifyingly clear. Dysfunction in the glymphatic removal pathways is a key mechanism linking sleep disruption to Alzheimer's pathophysiology. When you skip sleep, you are not just tired. You are allowing the plaque to form. You are letting the concrete harden. Human imaging studies show that a single night of deprivation increases beta amyloid accumulation in the hippocampus and thalamus. One night. Now multiply that by a lifetime of grinding and hustling. The glitch is structural. Chronic clearance dysfunction leads to an imbalance between production and removal. It's simple plumbing. If the drain flows slower than the faucet, the sink overflows. The overflow is neuroinflammation, synaptic damage, cognitive decline. The 2024 Frontiers Review explicitly states this. We are seeing a profile in sleep-deprived individuals that mimics the early stages of neurodegeneration. Sleep deprivation shifts the profile toward increased release of aggregation-prone species and reduced clearance. You are actively building the tomb of your own mind. Remind me later is an illusion. The files don't go away. They corrupt the drive until the drive is unreadable. There is no pill for this. There is no surgery that scrapes the plaque off your neurons once it's there. The pharmaceutical industry has spent billions trying to dissolve amyloid plaques, and they have largely failed. Prevention is the only viable strategy. Deep, consolidated NREM sleep is the only medication that works. It is the only thing that expands the interstitial space and flushes the toxin. You have to prioritize this above nutrition, above exercise. Sleep is the foundation of the pyramid. If the foundation cracks, the house falls. You are the architect. Stop breaking your own building. We are done here. The data is absolute. You have a choice tonight. You can continue the revenge. You can scroll. You can pretend that 5 hours is enough. You can let the waste accumulate. Or you can initiate the shutdown. You can accept that your biology has hard limits, that you are not a machine, but an organism that requires maintenance. The world wants you tired. A tired population is easy to sell to, easy to manipulate, easy to control. A well-rested brain is dangerous. It thinks clearly. It resists impulses. It sees the patterns. Be dangerous. Go to sleep. If you want more overrides, if you want to understand the other glitches in the system, click the link. Join the resistance. Install the update. Out.